Aaron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing great, Mr. Aaron Stringer, the famous estate planning attorney with Red Cliff Legal right here in beautiful downtown St. George. This is, I'm very excited to be able to do these mini podcasts with you. This is mini podcast number two, Legacy Made Clear, where estate planning makes sense. And today we're going to be talking about wills versus trusts. Tell me, what is the difference and which one is right for me?
Yep, that's I enjoy these podcasts as well because we're hitting all those main questions that people have, and they're great questions. Um, so what is the difference between a will and a trust? Both very important documents when it comes to estate planning. You're going to see it in one or the other, or both in many cases in any estate plan. So, first of all, what is a will? A will is, I consider it one of the building blocks of a good estate plan. So, with a will, someone can declare who gets their property, who gets their various assets. They're able to say who is in charge of that. They're called the executor or the personal representative, and other things like naming a guardian for your children. So, very important things you can do with a will. Um, some of the will does have some limitations, and so that's where that distinction comes in with the trust. A will is only effective upon death, so up until you pass away, the will really doesn't do much for you. Um, the, the the available options and the ability to be more detailed in how property is distributed through a will, that's also limited. So it's more about just saying, okay, I want this stuff to go to these people, and that's about it. Usually, it's kind of an outright distribution. Okay, um, and so I guess one of the other big misconceptions we see a lot is people think that a will alone will avoid probate. And this is probably one of the biggest issues we see with estate planning that's going to decide whether they have a trust or just a will. A will alone does not avoid probate. So, just as simply as that, the will is built really just to make the probate process go as simply as possible, as smoothly as possible.
I think that's a really good point because I was also under the misconception that if I had a will, we wouldn't have to go through probate. And I'm sure from your perspective, you find a lot of people that have that same misconception, don't you? It's like, oh, I have a will. We don't need to do that. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great to get to that point to have a will, because again, it's very helpful and it's going to make that process go much smoother. But it doesn't avoid probate, and that's where a trust comes in. So a trust is great because it's in a large part, it's specifically talking about the revocable living trust. It's built specifically to avoid probate, among other things. And so the idea is that you're creating this trust, which is basically like it's like a contract that you make with yourself, essentially. And in this contract, you put yourself in charge for as long as you're living and able, and then you've got your kind of like an executor, but you have your successor trustees that are appointed, and you're able to be much more detailed in how property is distributed. So you can say, instead of just an outright distribution to my 18-year-old who does not need that much property all of a sudden at
Yeah.
that age,
Yeah.
you can spread it out over time. So it's distributions based on age and even on behavior and different conditions. So you can go into that level of detail with it.
Yeah, from personal experience, when my parents created a trust for my brother and I, and what a blessing that was. Because I'm telling you, if we would have had to go through probate, we'd probably still be going on. It's been gone for 10 years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that
that, I really understand now the difference. I'm glad you clarified that the difference between a will and a trust. A will, you're still going to go through probate. The trust basically eliminates the need to do that and gives you more control over exactly where you want the different items and cash, et cetera, apportioned and to who they go to. So, are trusts expensive to set up?
um, they can be more expensive than a will. I'll say that, but much less expensive than going through probate. So if you just look at it as a cost benefit analysis in that way, do you want to put a little bit of investment in now to
Yeah.
setting this plan up, or do you want to have your family pay a lot more later on to go through probate? And it's not just the financial cost. It's going to be, they're already going to be mourning the loss of a loved one. Do you want to add probate onto that and that, stressful process?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
They just need to call you. So if somebody is looking for some help and some consultation on how to set up a trust, how can they get a hold of you?
Yep. So I do free consultations. You can give me a call. Phone number is 435-817-9187. Email is astringer@redcliffelegal.com. And if you want some more info, I have a blog at redcliffelegal.com. And you can also set up a free consultation through the website.
Excellent. Aaron, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Don't forget, you can contact Aaron one of those three different ways. Look for his next mini podcast of Legacy Made Clear right here with the fabulous and ever popular Aaron Stringer. Take care, man. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Michael.